Liston Diario presents Sunday Reflections.
Chatting with future journalists, welcoming the communication studies students from Pontificia Universidad Católica Madre y Maestra to Listín Diario. A few days ago was an enriching experience, not just for them, but for me as well. I firmly believe in the value of these encounters with new generations because they allow us to share experiences, discuss trends, and most importantly, help shape those who will be the future of journalism in the country. Every time I have the opportunity to speak with young students, I feel that journalism is alive, constantly evolving. However, I also see the enormous challenges facing those who aspire to practice it with seriousness and commitment. During this meeting, we addressed many of those concerns: misinformation, the emergence of artificial intelligence, audience segmentation, the crisis of trust in the media, and the digital subscription model, among other topics. At the start of the talk, I reminded them that Listín Diario, despite being a newspaper with 135 years of history, has successfully adapted to the digital transformation without losing its essence. Since the pandemic, journalism has changed radically, and we have had to adopt strategies to stay at the forefront. One of these strategies is the combination of traditional journalism with new storytelling approaches, such as first-person narratives and next-day journalism, which allow us to contextualize events and humanize information in a world oversaturated with data. We also discussed the evolution of newsrooms. 2 decades ago, in many media outlets, print and digital versions competed against each other almost as if they were rivals. Today, that division has disappeared. Print and digital coexist, complementing and strengthening journalistic work. I explained how at Listín Diario, we have achieved this symbiosis, adapting to change without losing our commitment to the truth. But the challenges are not just technological. Misinformation is one of the greatest threats we face, especially in the era of social media, where anyone with a smartphone can publish content without any filter or accountability. I told them how, in our newsroom, we take fact-checking very seriously before publishing, avoiding the temptation to spread rumors or false news that unfortunately some influencers and even certain media outlets share without question. This led to an interesting debate: the relationship between journalism and influencers. I explained that many of these content creators have gained significant influence, but their lack of rigor in handling information is problematic. However, traditional media cannot ignore this reality. Another concern among students was the safety of journalists, not only in terms of physical risks, which remain a reality, but also in the face of political and corporate pressures that seek to influence news coverage. I shared with them how the press often faces attacks when it dares to challenge official narratives or economic interests, something we frequently experience in our newsroom. At the end of the meeting, I felt satisfied, not just because I was able to share my experiences, but because I saw in them a generation that is curious, critical, and willing to face the challenges of journalism with seriousness. I reiterated to them that this profession is not easy, that it requires dedication, sacrifice, and, above all, a commitment to the truth. But I also reminded them that it is a fascinating career, one that allows us to witness history and tell it with responsibility. Each conversation like this reaffirms my belief that the future of journalism remains in good hands, as long as those who practice it understand that credibility is their greatest treasure, and that in times of information crises, rigor and ethics remain the best response.
Liston Diario presented Sunday Reflections.